Today's topic, the topic for today's lecture is plant and intangible assets. In balance sheet, we have assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. And out of those assets, the main category is non-current assets or fixed assets. The other one is current assets. And plant and intangible assets are shown under the heading of assets in balance sheet. So in this topic, in this lecture, we will cover plant assets, intangible assets, and natural resources. As you can see on the screen, assets are being acquired for the long-term use. Let's suppose a company purchased a machine, a vehicle, or something like that that is being used for longer time period. Assets are being used for like many years. And when asset is purchased, let's suppose asset is purchased at the price of 10 million, that is 1 crore, $10 million. $10 million should not be the should not be allocated in the first year as a cost. The concept for this allocation of cost over number of years is called depreciation. So we divide the original cost of the asset over its useful life over number of years. That is called depreciation, and we record that depreciation as an expense in every year income statement. As we will practice more in the coming slides or lectures, so we will more understand the concept of depreciation. You can see on the screen the types of major categories of plant assets. One is tangible plant assets, जो कि हम परचेज करते हैं फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म यूज के लिए, and those they are having physical existence. For example, land, buildings, equipment, furniture, fixtures. These are fixed assets and these are called tangible plant assets. Second is intangible assets. Intangible assets mean they don't have any physical existence, and for example, patents, copyrights, trademarks, franchise, goodwill. Well, or for example, KFC, McDonald's give their franchises to some local vendor or entrepreneur who is running that branch. Similarly, some university or college setup like Punjab College has given franchises to different businessmen. So that is also the kind of intangible assets. Similarly, the goodwill. For example, recently Uber has purchased the Kareem. So the transaction price will also include the goodwill. The goodwill, that is the reputation of the company. So that also have some value. So that is called intangible assets. Third one is natural resources. Uh, Natural resources are being extracted. It can be coal mines, it can be some minerals, it can be crude oil. These are the three main categories of plant assets: tangible plant assets, intangible assets like copyrights, trademarks, goodwills, and third is natural resources. In assets life, there are three main important events that need to be recorded in accounting. For example, acquisition. When asset is acquired, to which account should be debited and which account should be credited, and at what amount, at what price should be account should be handled with like debit or credit. That is the acquisition. And then the allocation of the cost over the number of years, कि कितने साल लाइफ है उस एसेट की, हमने उस कॉस्ट को डिवाइड करना है उसकी लाइफ के ऊपर. That is called depreciation. First is acquisition, second is allocation, third is sale or disposal. Let's suppose we have acquired the asset and we plan to use it for 7 years, but we sell that asset after 5 years. तो यूज होना था 7 years, but 5 साल बाद we have sold it, we have disposed of. So that is sale or disposal. So we will record at what price or at what amount the asset has been disposed of and what is the gain or loss on the disposal of that asset. It means there are three main events in the life of asset, we can say. First, when asset is acquired. Second, the allocation of the asset cost over number of years, that we call depreciation. And third is सेल और डिस्पोजल, कि जब हम उस एसेट को बेच देते हैं 5 साल बाद 8 साल बाद, तो उस वक्त क्या एक्टिविटी होगी, क्या इवेंट होगा, क्या अकाउंटिंग की जर्नल एंट्रीज होंगी और कैसे रिकॉर्ड करेंगे एट द टाइम ऑफ सेल और डिस्पोजल. One more important thing is when we acquire the asset, so all the costs that are being included, that are being required to shift the asset and to make it ready for use. For example, we have purchased some machinery from Dubai and the price is, we can say, 5 million, and 1 million is the transportation cost from Dubai to, you can say, Karachi, and you have to install that machinery in Karachi. तो 1 million जो कि ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट है, फ्रेट कॉस्ट है, दैट शुड आल्सो बी इंक्लूडेड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ एसेट प्राइस. तो जो भी कोई खर्चा आएगा, जो भी कोई एक्सपेंस होगा एसेट को इंस्टॉल करने से पहले, उसको यूज करने से पहले पहले, उस सारे एक्सपेंस को वी विल रिकॉर्ड एंड वी विल ऐड इट एज एन एसेट प्राइस. उसको सबको इकट्ठा करके we will count it as an asset price. For example, sometimes we purchased a piece of land, let's suppose कि 100 million की property purchase की है, 100 million, and 10 million is the, you can say, transaction cost and the commission or the brokerage for the broker or the real estate agents and different government fees, all kind of brokerage commission, dealers commission, that should also be the part of that land and building, that asset price. उसको भी हम साथ ही रिकॉर्ड करेंगे और एसेट की प्राइस में इंक्लूड करेंगे, और उसको भी यानी कि हम डेप्रिशिएट करेंगे. यानी कि जो डीलर की कॉस्ट है, ब्रोकरेज कमीशन है, गवर्नमेंट की फीस हैं, ऑन द बेसिस और जिसकी ट्रांजैक्शन की बेसिस हम एसेट परचेज कर रहे हैं, वो सब भी एसेट की प्राइस का पार्ट बनेगा, एंड वी विल डेप्रिशिएट ऑल दोज एक्यूमुलेटेड प्राइस. To understand it better, we have a question here, that is a practice question. Let's suppose on May for heat company, ये company it makes stoves. They buy a new machine from a Texas company. The machine has a price of $52,000. The price of machine is $52,000, और उसके ऊपर अलग से चार्ज हुआ है sales tax is definitely, you can say, included in the price. 52,000 plus 8% of 52,000. 500 is the shipping cost है, freight cost, और मशीन को सेटअप करने के लिए सेटअप कॉस्ट फॉर मशीन इज $1,300 and $4,000 in testing cost. Before start the working of a machine, it needs to be tested, and the cost for test is $4,000. So there are different number of costs other than the price. Price is only 52,000. 8% is the sales tax, $500 shipping cost, $1,300 setup cost, installation cost, we can say, and $4,000 is the testing cost. We need to compute the cost of new machine. So what is the cost of this new machine? That should be included in our balance sheet as a price, as a cost of this new machine. This is the question. So as we have just studied, we need to add such cost also in the price of machine. You can see the solution on the screen. List price is $52,000. Sales tax 4160, that is 8% of 52,000. Transportation cost is $500. Setup cost or installation cost is $1,300, and the testing cost is $4,000. And when we will add all these costs in 52,000, this would be 61,960. You see, the price of the machine is 52,000. The other allied costs, transportation cost, setup cost, sales tax, and the testing cost need to be added. So now the total cost is 61,960. So we will make the journal entry debit credit amount with this amount 61,960. We will debit the machine with 61,960. The date, the new machine debit 61,960, and this transaction is on cash. जो कैश क्रेडिट होगा, we will credit the cash by $61,960. So this is the journal entry to record the acquisition of this new machine. Remember, we have to add all such kind of cost before making the machine ready for use. So all these costs will be added in the price of 52,000. So we'll make the journal entry by $61,960. This is the acquisition of plant asset. And when we purchase some building, land and building, तो लैंड को we will deal land with a different account, और कोई improvements हैं, कोई fence है, कोई building है, कोई landscape है, that would be treated separately. As I have just said, real estate commissions, fees, legal fees, clearing and grading the property, all kind of taxes or fees would be added in the price of land. And improvements in the land would be treated separately. And land different and land improvements would be treated differently. Similarly, buildings would be treated differently, and equipment, जो expense like insurance है, some tax है, that are recorded as an expense. ये एक normal routine के annual expense में आ जाएगा. लेकिन जो improvements to building है, if there is some improvements in the building, that would be added in the cost of the building. बिल्डिंग के अंदर कोई अगर इम्प्रूवमेंट किया है तो वो ऐड कर देंगे बिल्डिंग की कॉस्ट में, एसेट की कॉस्ट में. लेकिन अगर कोई टैक्स पे किया है, इंश्योरेंस है, such kind of expenses will be treated as simply expenses in that time period. This इंश्योरेंस और टैक्सेस को हम बिल्डिंग की कॉस्ट में ऐड नहीं करेंगे रूटीन में एनुअली. And when we purchase some asset, let's suppose we buy a building, उसमें पूरा farm house purchase किया है with the animals and with some crops. So we have to treat these things separately. Land को separately treat करेंगे, animals की price cost differently लिखेंगे, और barn की, crops की different हम price record करेंगे. अब उनकी जो segregation है, that would be based on a fair market value. Let's suppose we have purchased a farmhouse at a price of, you can say, 50 million. 50 million में से we will see कि 50 million में से 30 million land है, 10 million animals है, 10 million plants है, whatever the fair market value. We will treat every different kind of asset, each asset separately, and we can divide it on the basis of fair market value. हुई लमसम परचेज, we have purchased collectively, accumulated purchase किया, लेकिन अपने records में, अपने accounts में we will deal every asset differently. There are two kinds of major expenditures. One is called capital expenditure and one is called revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure means any material expenditure that will benefit several accounting periods. For example, if you have purchased an asset and that is being used for more than one accounting period, for 3 years, for 5 years, for 7 years, so it means that expenditure will be called as capital expenditure. और हम उसको एसेट अकाउंट में शो करेंगे. दैट वुड बी एन एसेट जो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता डेप्रिशिएट होगा. So such kind of expenditures are called capital expenditures when we buy some assets. And if there is an expenditure kind of repair or maintenance, तो उसको हम लिखेंगे that would be called as revenue expenditure, routine expenditure, recurring expenditure. Revenue expenditure means that is being used for only single accounting period, and that can be kind of repairs or maintenance. यानी कि उसका जो फायदा है वो उसी सेम अकाउंटिंग ईयर में है. तो such kind of expenditures would be called as revenue expenditure. So this is the difference between capital, that is more kind of a asset nature expenditure, revenue expenditure जिसको हम as an expense note करेंगे, as an asset नहीं note करेंगे. So this is the difference between revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. So this is the main topic we have covered today is plant and intangible assets, the division of assets, that is tangible assets, intangible assets and natural resources, and then we discussed how to acquire the asset, acquisition pick activity hogi, allocation of cost, third is sale and disposal of the asset, depreciation we will cover it in the next lecture. So today's lecture is about plant and intangible assets. Thank you.